It came without a case. No markings, no title. Just a plastic shell and a whisper of static. You didn't rent it. You didn't buy it. You didn't even want it. It was given to you. You press play thinking maybe it's just a prank. Sick little Halloween trick. The footage, it doesn't stop. The screams don't end. And the clown on the screen, he sees you. And he smiles. There's no turning it off now. You watched it. You invited him in. Some tapes don't rewind. They replay. In your head, in your house, and in your nightmares. Tonight on Survive the Night podcast, we're talking about All Hallows Eve. All right, let's talk about Art the Clown, shall we?
Yeah, you've seen him on merch at the Spencer's Gifts and wondered, like, what is that? What is going on? We're going all the way back. He's been around for 12 years already. Like, you're super out of the loop, dude. Like 2013.
True, actually.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
how is it
when this all began.
2025?
I know, right? We're a quarter century in to this century, and it's been a rough one. I'm gonna say. But yeah.
It definitely has been. I very much agree. Yeah.
So what better way to like relax and kick back than with a psychopathic murderer, who's just a clown, and he's got a bag full of tricks, and he's gonna go around murdering people.
I mean, sure. I grew up with ICP, so I'm used to murderous clowns.
Murderous clowns, yeah. I avoided these for a while because they kind of had a reputation of being really mean or something. Like I was hesitant.
Okay.
But eventually it was just too convenient, and it was right around Halloween time. So I was just like, hey, this is on streaming. I'm just going to see what's going on. I'm just going to see what's up here. It's Damien Leone. So as far as I know, no relation to Sergio. It's hard to know these things, though.
That actually was kind of one of my questions. Is there any like relation?
I don't think so, but there's not a lot of. I don't know a lot about Damien at all, other than he made these movies. Like he has a pretty useless wiki that doesn't tell you a lot. So
yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
And this first one is an anthology movie. But I still felt it was important to take a look at it because it's the true genesis. And I also think I like it more, but I haven't seen the big dogs yet. So that it might fall in the rankings as we. It
is kind of interesting because these movies, like you said, have been around for a long time actually now. But it feels like it wasn't until like a couple years ago when Terrifier 3 came out. Or maybe even 2.
Well,
actually.
two, I think really started like, oh, this is like this kind of murderous character for this era. Like this is our Freddy
is kind of the
Jason
thing
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what made it famous to begin with. I wonder if that's like something I could even find. Like
I feel like 2 is where it'll make sense. Like 1 is just kind of a vicious, like, well, whatever. Terrifier is the short film we're going to be talking about in here as part of this movie. I could see this making waves at like a horror convention or something, or like some small film festivals. Like it's reasonably well made, but it's also sort of built for streaming, I guess. Like this seems like it would play well, like by itself. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think from what I heard of it is word of mouth, like, oh, but have you seen Terrifier? They don't care at all, man. It's crazy. The kill, like, and it's just you kind of like build this up to like, oh man, I can't believe they actually got away. Like, I haven't even seen these fucking movies, and like, I can't believe they got away with some of the stuff I've heard. And it's like, really, we'll get to those when we get to them, but
extreme kills. Yeah, this movie. I really like the pacing of this movie because it has kind of built-in things that let it like kind of slowly get crazier as it goes along, you know? Because the premise is it's Halloween night and a babysitter is looking after a couple kids, and in one of their bags is a videotape with no markings on it, right? Which
so
is
like
pretty cool,
right away,
little creepy
it's
thing.
such disturbing fucking idea right out of the gate.
And I love
like,
that
I
she
got this
loses
VHS
this
tape.
battle of just like, no, we obviously shouldn't watch that. And it's just like, no, come on, it'll be fun, it'll be great. It's like, all right. And they really shouldn't be watching this with children, but it kind of left like it gave me a sense of security that's like, well, nothing that can happen in this first segment is going to be so crazy that because these kids are watching it too in the story. So after one segment, the movie would end if it was too gnarly, right? So it's not going to be too vicious right up front.
Right.
And that's pretty much like there's still like some sinister business going on with like kidnapping these ladies and chaining them in a thing or whatever, but like it's ninth circle is not the extreme edge in this movie. Like this is kind of just an introductory bit of business, right? I didn't find it that jarring.
Sure.
What even really happens? Like at the end, they sort of do a Rosemary's Baby style thing.
So
right?
Ninth Circle is the first time, first of all, we meet Art the Clown in his like prototype makeup or whatever, because that was the first short. So like, I don't know if we really like drove this part home, but these short films already existed, and they were put together in this wrapper, including an additional thing that they shot for this to kind of tie it all together, which is kind of an interesting way to do it.
I think the second segment was new, and it is. We'll get to it.
It's the worst part.
It's hilariously bad. Like
it is.
Like I found it funny in the same way of just like, oh, we're not taking the gloves off yet either. This is just some nonsense. This is like a bad like X-Files fan film or something. Like this is no good. So like I was ready to like, oh, now it's gonna go crazy because the babysitter's watching this movie alone, and that's like, nope, not yet, and it kind of leaves you hanging for another segment, which I thought was pretty funny. And then it's time for Terrifier, where it's like, okay, now it's a gnarly thing with like severed heads and whatever. Like this is gonna get real, but that kind of like weird, slow, like trip down the river where it gets worse and worse was something I found really amusing about the structure of this thing. I also love anthologies. Like it's one of my favorite horror formats. So
it's a cool format the way they introduced or the way they did these old ones and then kind of put them into a new thing that's easily digestible. Because so when we talk about stuff that we do or whatever in the past, there's always been this weird thing of like, okay, this is the big thing. There's usually an original thing. And in cases of like indie directors or smaller directors, there's usually like 20 fucking like short films that you'll never see again because they're college films or something.
Right. Like sure. Like all your horror guys, like Sam Raimi had like
Sam Raimi's the big one.
Like if you were at the University of Michigan in like 1972 or whatever, you would have seen some of this business. But like these are like legends now. Like they're lost to lore. There's so many Cronenberg shorts I've never seen. Like he has like hour-long crimes of the future, and it's like, oh, weird. Like I thought that was just that new movie, and it's like, no, there was an old one that was some of these ideas like 50 years ago. It's like, oh, all right, well, Letterboxd helps you know all the stuff you missed because those are on there. So it's just like, what? How am I at 27%? I've seen like all of his movies. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't see this commercial he shot. It's like, oh, whatever. So, yeah. I like that this wraps some of that business into a narrative or whatever. Like it incorporates some of those early bits and feels confident enough in him that it's like, well, these aren't terrible. You could watch this. And that's
a cool way to do it. I quite enjoy it. It's a good way to also kind of repurpose old material and like make a whole new like fleshed out thing.
Kind of stretch your dollar a little bit. Yeah, like hey, I made some low budget stuff, but then I made a bigger budget wrapper and was able to package it as a movie. So, hooray!
Yeah. Anyways, the first part, you were saying, it's kind of this weird like cultish thing where a girl gets kidnapped by Art the Clown, who drugs her in in a train station or a bus station or something like that. And
oh yeah, that's right. Like that's where you get the kind of like sitting opposite of this weirdo kind of stuff. Like they get into
and that part I found funny, which is why like it stands out in my mind, because there's just a moment where he pulls out a horn and just like looks at her holding it, and like in my mind the director. So I'm not afraid of clowns. I'm just gonna put this out there. This is like one of those big fears where people are like, oh yeah, I'm scared of clowns, or I've never been terrified of clowns. I think they're ridiculous and silly, and so like horror with clowns is hilarious to me. And
some of my favorite stuff at a circus was clown gags. So
sure,
yeah, it's like,
and like,
oh great, clowns are here.
I think it can work in horror, and I could see why people would be scared of it, especially art. Art's like a crazy demon thing that we'll get to at some point, talking about. But here, this is like the quintessential part where, depending on who you are, if you're watching this part, you're probably like, oh, this is so weird and creepy. And me, I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid. I love it. Holy shit. Because he's just honking it, and she's like, please stop, or whatever.
Yeah, there's like a dark comedy to a lot of, or like bad miming. Like he's a mime performer, kind of. Like he's never talking, but he's very threatening just inherently because he's showing up where he's not supposed to be. And just making weird faces at you and making you uncomfortable. Like it's kind of his signature stuff. This is actually a different actor than will play him later. This is the only appearance of this guy. Like
this
he
is some
retired,
weird
I
like
guess.
prototype version or something of him before they went.
Who plays him? They must have it here. There's got to be.
I'm
name,
not sure,
right?
but
it
like
is
it's
Mike
so
Gianelli is the original Art the Clown. Who is now just some guy somewhere. But
sure, it's interesting too because the Terrifier series got big because of Art, and he became like the new modern mascot for horror in a lot of ways. But like this original thing, he's just kind of like the dude who like drugs her and brings her to a place, because this is actually all about
sells her
a cult.
to witches or something.
Or something. Yeah.
It's like,
so
well, these
weird.
are this is the economic reality that Art lives in, is he finds people that buy people.
It's been hard, man. I get it. I get it.
So that's how we transition out of that to this like train station underground thing with chains and whatever, and it's like kind of playing around with like, when does the person get dragged away, I guess, is kind of like the, oh, we're talking and we're hatching a plan, and then suddenly yoink, that person's been torn into the darkness or whatever, and that's okay. That's an okay scare.
I think it's where it starts this like trend that I've noticed that he does a lot too, of there's just irreverent and like random people met along the way. Like at some point, she's like the main girl or whatever is just running away from Sloth from the Goonies, essentially, who's like trying to cut her arm off, who doesn't have anything to do with anything. And she then she runs into another dude who has nothing to do with anything, who then loses his face at some point when she's looking at him or asking for help. Like, it's just, it feels very much like he loves just like random horror bits that he doesn't really care how they fit together.
Sure, I guess it kind of becomes a little more focused and coherent once it becomes just Terrifier, and it's just all orbiting around one character.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
Art, I guess.
Art, yeah.
And he will fake you out as to like who's going to survive and not, like who's not or whatever. I found that kind of jarring in the first Terrifier film, which we'll save for the next episode, I guess, because it's its own movie. But anyway, this one kind of ends with like Rosemary's Baby style, like being assaulted by a demon or something, right? And it's sort of shot in a similar, like, this is bad and obviously what's happening is terrible, but you don't know if like a little kid is getting what's happening, so it still has that curtain over it or whatever. I felt
and it's kind of fun that like this is probably the point where if you were an overzealous parent or something, you would turn off the film and be like, okay, this is actually too
kids,
much now.
Like, we can't actually watch this. Like, I'm really
this is crazy.
Sorry. Please don't tell your mom that we watch this, you know?
And that's where they cut it off. So, like, it made sense in their own, like, little rapper world, too, that, like, okay, this is the egregious part where...
We have reached the limit of what I feel comfortable showing you guys, so, yeah.
This is also the... This is something I don't necessarily want to talk about and bring up because it's kind of cliche, but this is also like the beginning of where I think these films hate women. Like there are some
that is
parts.
the reputation for sure. I think
I see
like
it.
a thing I hold on to as like a little like ease of mind thing is just that this actress who plays the babysitter does come back in the first movie. So like that kind of comfort level with Damien and how they're making movies is like, okay,
yeah,
maybe the content is like pretty extreme and has a lot of ladies.
That's more it.
Peril.
I don't think he hates women necessarily.
Right.
I think
like it's one of those absurd things where it's like, I think it's a fun set, you know, like I think we're having fun here, but what is being presented to the audience is like extremely violent against ladies for sure. It's wild, some of the stuff that will happen.
And like we'll talk about them as they happen, but like a lot of the things that happen, it makes me wonder, is it that it feels particularly targeted towards like gruesomeness towards women, or is it that women have almost been like not a protected class in horror because they get some fucked up shit in the whole genre in general, but like never to maybe the graphicness that these movies bring it to, and it's just jarring because, like, not to get ahead of myself too much, there's like a thing with the children usually aren't treated this way either in horror stuff.
Yeah, that's sort of like a vestige of older, like, I think it was like Grindhouse kind of alluded to an era of movies that would happen. Like John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct has a kid just get shot, and it's crazy. Like when that happens, right? So I think it's like fair play. Like it's stuff that's happened in films. It's just you haven't seen it for a while. Like it does feel like a throwback to like the 70s or something. Like there's kind of a grit and grime, but with like modern, like post Savini, like understanding of gore and mechanics and whatever, like really developing in that space. So it's gnarlier than it's ever been and filmed better than it's been in a long time too. So you get to feel every slice and whatnot in a way that's jarring for sure. I will say, it's been a while since a movie has made me feel like, wow, this is kind of dangerous. Like this is like, this feels unsafe somehow. This is actually getting to me in a weird way.
Even
just
the short
because of its
film that we're
willingness
talking about,
to be extreme. Yeah.
The beginning of it, like we're saying, it ends with like a pregnant woman where the fetus is being ripped from the wound and the like blood discharge from this whole situation being drank by the devil. Like it's very,
and that's
very
the kid-friendly
visceral.
short in the movie. So, yeah.
Well, the next one's pretty kid-friendly in a stupid way. We should...
but unfortunately, in the story, no kid sees it. They're sent to bed or whatever, and they're still rattled by the clown and stuff and talking about it. And I was like, okay, that's kind of fun. Like, that's confident in your myth building or whatever. But then the babysitter decides to just continue watching by herself, and what we get is, like, VHS horror grade, like, just... this alien sneaking around a house, like a suburban house. It's so boring and bad. I kind of was amused by its like, because I was a little tensed up, and it's just like, all right, we're gonna let you relax. Actually, we're not gonna further this for a little bit here. It was kind of funny.
It reminds me of Are You Afraid of the Dark or something. Like it's so weirdly shot, and I think just the fact that every time the alien's on screen, that dude's direction was dance as you move because you're supposed to be like an alien or something is so fucking weird.
Yeah, it's really amateur and silly. And there's no art stuff really except a painting, right? Like at some point late in the short, it's like, oh my God, it's back.
The end of the short, I think, like specifically the very tail end. Nothing else has anything to do with it.
It's kind of ominous, I guess, but it does feel the safest of any of the films in this. What is it called?
Something in the Dark is what it's called.
Something in the Dark. Yeah.
It's
pretty
actually
silly, hard to
awful.
really dwell on. It's almost seems like deliberately not scary. Like it's a little fake out for you in the middle of the story. Yeah.
So as a little background, like talking here, we were talking about doing this, and at some point I mentioned like, oh, I'm about halfway through or whatever, and that I had to go back and finish this movie that we're talking, so that we could talk about it.
All
And the
Hallows
reason
Eve, yeah.
why I was halfway through is because the thing played through, but I fell asleep in the segment, and I had to rewatch the end, basically, from here.
No, it is that tame and that safe. It is so funny that this thing is in the middle of this movie and is part of the Art the Clown like legacy of extreme R-rated craziness. It's just like, this thing? Like, it's like, no, not this part. This part is a joke for later. It'll pay off later, I suppose. So yeah, babysitter watches this, is sort of nonplussed, and it's just like, all right, and continues watching. And now it's time for the real thing. Yeah, yeah. It's time for Terrifier, which is the real business here. It's like 40 minutes. I think it's the biggest of the three here. It's really the meat of this short film.
And it's weirdly named Terrifier, but it's the short film because Terrifier 1 is its own movie, basically.
Right. This is the genesis of that being its own spin-off series, I guess, of this thing, and really usurping All Hallows Eve, which has a sequel that has nothing to do with Damien, and I haven't seen it. Right. But if it's an anthology, maybe.
It has 2 sequels, I think, doesn't it? Doesn't it have Trickster as well?
Great.
That came out like a year ago.
Okay. Well, hey, this is successful. Like
they're spinning off their own anthology series from it. So, like someone else, I get. In fact, let me just quickly see if I can find information about that. And All Hallows Eve Inferno DVD.
Perfect.
Okay, All Hallows Eve 2 is a standalone anthology from Ruthless Pictures, containing 9 story segments. Holy shit,
that's a lot. That's maybe too many.
The film was released on VOD and digital in 2015. Had a DVD release in 2016. 2 sequels, Hallows Eve, All Hallows Eve, Trickster, and Inferno, were released in 2023 and 2024.
Great.
So I missed one even when I was saying that there was another one that came out.
Well, all right. So, yeah, the All Hallows Eve branch continues. But the reason we're looking at it is because of this piece right here.
Specifically.
Terrifier, yeah. Which returns to Art doing his thing. Kind of walking around with a trash bag at night is just kind of ominous.
And writing with his own shit somewhere. Like, that just seems to be a thing he likes to do. So, good on you,
What a
I guess.
prankster. Just what a
so
goofster.
Gross.
Yeah, it's a pretty horrible thing to do. And he gets told off, right? Like, he's like, what are you doing? Get out of my gas station, you creep. And
I mean,
that's enough to earn his ire, I guess. And this is where you get your first, like, sawing business. Like, there's something about this scene that, again, harkens to some sort of distant, like, old memory I have of a certain era of horror where there's a lot of beheadings and there's weird sound underneath it that just makes it unnerving and weird. And I can't quite put it all together.
Like the 80s?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Like, what's that? There's that horror movie, like Christmas horror movie has it at the beginning of it.
Which one?
Figure this out. I know that guy, Jeffrey DeMunn, is in it. He plays the brother. Let me just figure this out for you live. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm trying to think of like Christmas horror things in general. The only one that's
one of those like dumb
Black
parodies of like a Christmas Carol type name, right? Let me just see here.
Is it Jack Frost? Is one?
No.
I'm trying to think of some others. I'm not big into Christmas horror because they're like goofy in a way that I don't find endearing usually, which is maybe foreshadowing to we'll see like for what happens with this series. What's the name?
It's literally just Christmas Evil.
Christmas Evil.
It's like
is
Christmas
great.
Eve.
That's great.
But it's Christmas
I'm in.
Evil. And I just remember this story about like Lewis Jackson, the director. This was like his passion project that he worked on for like a decade, and it's just like, why? But it's about a man who goes crazy, and he's a Santa, and he's just murdering people, right? But at the beginning of the movie, you get a scene of him as a kid, as like a young serial killer or something, and he kills a person, and there's a severed head, and it's just like, oh, I wasn't ready for a severed head right there. That's horrible what just happened. This has that kind of flavor in it too. Like, Art just is chopping up a person, and they just kind of linger on it long enough for you to be weirded out about it. And his odd demeanor as it's happening. Like, this was really the hook moment for like, Art is really evil. Yeah. Like, this is no good.
And it's weird because Art kind of has this thing of like, almost like a childish glee in that, like, he wants to show people like the gross evilness he is.
Yeah,
essentially, it's
like, I'm not bothered by this at all, and you're just like, oh man, all right, thanks, Art. So yeah, this was really just a key moment I felt in this whole thing, is him just sawing this guy in a gas station. But it continues, and we kind of get just like a truncated slasher movie of like a woman on the run from this creepy guy.
And it works. It's pretty good, actually. It's not bad. Tension's there. Yeah.
How many other kills happen in this segment though? Like, you watched it more recently. This was like 5 months ago.
So after that, she drives off. There's like a lot of weird stupidness where there's just like a car at the side of the road that she decides to like pull over to like help or whatever.
Something? Yeah.
Oh, there is a moment actually which is one of my favorites, and we'll talk about it more too in Terrifier 2, but Art the Clown actually uses guns the way guns are meant to be used.
Yeah, I was impressed with the, like, no, he'll just do that. If a situation's getting out of control, he might just shoot you. Like, he's not against it. It's weird. He's like the least principled in that respect. He's just, he will kill you. Yeah.
So I can't remember if that was around then, but I do remember that she's with a dude at some point, and Art just like points a gun at him, and rather than him do literally anything, he just waits to get shot in the fucking face. Which I was like, okay, sure. I don't know. That seems weird to me. Yeah. But whatever.
Yeah.
He whips her with like this weird cat o' nine tails made with scalpels or something that she's able to like break a piece off of and stab him in the eye. That's not as gruesome as you probably would think it would be, all things considered. I mean, whatever. All of that, it is what it is, but he eventually gets her, and this is kind of also the like, oh, maybe they just hate women sort of thing, because the final shot is of her like waking up on a operating table or table of some sort, completely like amputated, no legs or arms, and her breasts cut off, and with like, the word slut written on her or something.
Yeah, it's just terrible stuff carved into her, and she's just like, this is terrible, and it zooms out. It's kind of one of the effect shot, I guess, of the movie, and they changed this for the first like solo outing. It's not what goes on, so this gets to differ, I suppose, from the next one. But and that really rattles our babysitter person, and then my favorite stuff happens in the whole movie.
So this is where it becomes like this. So there's this weird meta narrative going on of Art the Clown is actually like a supernatural being living inside of this VHS tape or whatever, and he's trying to break his way out or something.
Kind of like a Doctor Who monster or something. Like, he's able to transcend this medium, and by watching the tape, like The Ring or something, right? Like, it's able to reach out and become manifest. Which, ever since I played Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and like Colonel Campbell started talking to me, I was just like, this is an amazing idea for a scary thing. Like,
breaking the fourth wall.
A piece of media breaks the fourth wall and is able to literally, like, at some point he's in like this weird basement room and like walks up to the screen and is tapping on the screen like a fish or something. And it's just like,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. That's such a great, terrible idea. As a movie watcher alone at home, that's like the breaking into your realm kind of thing. It was really fun. I was like, okay, that's just a fun, terrible, terrifying idea. And I think she turns off the TV and like runs away, but then he's there in the house, right? And
so they do it kind of smartly where it turns from that dingy room where he's knocking on it to like the image of like her living room that she's in. And like her like fussing around with the TV, and on the couch behind her is him sitting there, even though he's not actually there when she looks. And
like in the reflection or something, or how
it's kind of the like vampire thing or idea of like you can only see him through this like VHS representation that she's like trying to get out of the tape player or whatever. And then like when she gets it out and like nothing happens, you think, oh, okay, like we're all good. But then, of course, the ending happens where Art the Clown wants to show her his art, we'll say, because it says art literally.
Yeah. There's this little interaction in like the stairwell where it's like, oh no, he is here. Like he's actually here in the house and I'm scared.
Yeah.
And like he's between me and the kids. Like this is really bad. And then she goes into the room and they're already dead, right? Like they've been chopped up and like their heads are like Happy Halloween or something, which is like totally like Creepshow 1 has this. At like the end of the first segment, there's a severed head and it's like a cake or whatever, and it's like that's just kind of fucked up, but this is the dumbest segment of this whole anthology in Creepshow. Like this is not anything. So them hanging their hat on it and ending with like, no, we would kill kids in our movie, we're that crazy or whatever. It's just like, oh wow, okay, that's not great. That's horrible. That's like the worst thing that can happen to a babysitter, really, short of dying yourself as well, I guess.
I do love that he like gleefully like kind of ushers her to see. He doesn't chase her. He doesn't try to attack her. It's more of a like the damage has been done sort of moment or whatever, right? Which is pretty great.
Yeah. No, his odd demeanor is really like the magic of the character. I think that's why he's transcended into multiple films, and you're seeing him at Spencer's Gifts and whatever. Like he is caught on because he has something different. Like Freddy has the kind of like, oh, I'm dropping one-liners and being glib about this, but there's something like I was never really bothered by him. Maybe he was too old by the time I got to those movies or something. Like, I'm not sure. That never got me the same way this does.
They never leaned
malice, you know?
They never leaned with Freddy hard enough, in my opinion, into the fact that he was a child murderer and rapist.
A kid killer, yeah. Like, it's like, this is like, Art just killed a couple kids at the end of this movie. Like, that is in play. That can happen.
I am infinitely more terrified of Art with kids now than Freddy ever would be. I would give my kids to Freddy to babysit for the night. Like there's
in comparison, sure. Doesn't feel as dangerous, right? You get a little like, oh, Scary Terry from Rick and Morty. Maybe he's a good dude. Maybe he's not actually that big a problem.
I love Scary Terry. That's a great episode. It's one of my favorites.
So, and Jason, on the other hand, I guess is doing the mute thing. Like he doesn't say anything ever, but he also doesn't get to emote at all either. So you kind of get like both worlds a little bit. You get like the silent, like efficient killer, but also the chicanery of a Freddy, but with the like handicap of being silent the whole time, which forces you to just look at him and think about how weird he is in a way that really works. So
also,
I don't know.
They both kind of have like a type, if we're talking about victims, where Art the Clown literally just seems to kill whoever's around at the time. He just attacks whoever.
There's a chaotic element to it of just like, oh crap, you got seen by Art and now
you were
he's
there.
Interested in you. That's not good at all. You're really in for a tough time.
Right.
And I feel the second movie will capitalize on that kind of aura.
Definitely.
Like of just like, oh no, this is really going to go bad for these people. And it's like, you kind of get that secondhand empathy thing. I find I'm of two minds on the misogyny thing, because it's like, Well,
Yeah.
this movie has a lot of roles for ladies in it. Like, there's a lot of actresses in it, and a lot of them get majority of the screen time and whatever. Like, it's kind of it's cuts two ways, right? Like, it's just like, oh, this is a bad movie to be in, I guess, but it's a big role. Like, you're getting out there. It's reasonably popular. Like, this might ultimately be good. But
arguably the reason why
punches.
though, is because this movie wants to kill women more than men, right? Like, that's the flip
it'll
side.
make
It's
a
like
spectacle.
there's more roles because there's more of a spectacle.
Yeah. I'm not super versed in like these kind of extreme, like, I haven't seen the Hostel movies. I've heard there's a lot of castrations in those. Like,
don't get me wrong, there are definitely horror movies that mutilate and do horrible shit to men, like rightly so, because people are people.
I'm just saying, like, this is kind of like as extreme as any of that, but against women primarily. So it is a little.
Well, and again, I think like this is why I almost hesitated to talk about it, but I think you have to talk about it because of like it's kind of the conversation around this stuff in general is I don't know necessarily that it's misogynistic. It definitely targets women and does horrible things to them, but I don't necessarily feel it's in a misogynistic way so much as we've been led to be kind of like women and children have been like, if they're going to die in certain ways or off screen or whatever, like children especially.
Yeah.
And this movie definitely feels like
there's sort of like a safety net, and this movie is taking away the safety net.
Taking it away. Yeah. That's kind of what it is,
Right.
Also, it's hard not to feel weird when one of the deaths is literally cutting off the sex organs of a woman and then writing slut and like misogynistic slurs on her. But
it is weird because it's like, well, Art is the villain, like, you also know he's probably going to survive all these movies because he's the guy, right? Like, it's sort of that weird relationship.
Also supernatural, probably.
Yeah. He becomes more explicitly supernatural, I believe, as things go on. Like, the end of the next movie is going to tease it, and then that's going to be the ball they run with, I guess. I haven't seen 2 or 3 as of right now. But this is a reason to do so, I suppose. But oh man, I think I sort of get overall why this has caught on and why this has, like, I was almost ready to try to play catch up to see 3 in theaters because I could see this being like a huge cringe fest kind of thing, like that weird.
Oh sure.
Like. Yeah. You're in sync with like 100 other people that are also going, oh Jesus Christ, oh, and like
there are parts
having
where
a horrible time.
You definitely could see somebody in the front row being like, oh no, or whatever, and everybody else
like
going
really
like,
losing their cool, because it seems like this. I could see this being a good crowd movie, almost the same way like Jackass is like a weirdly great crowd experience,
Like facing a traumatic moment with a bunch of other people at the same time.
But dissipated by having others near you or whatever. Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, wow, I'm in touch with humanity or something, because we all thought that was extremely fucked up when Art did that or whatever, right? So I kind of get it. I understand why they've kind of exponentially gotten more and more successful. Like, they're starting to really bring in some pretty impressive grosses and stuff. Like, 3 really did well. So we haven't seen the last of this guy, but I kind of wanted to look at least his first appearance, because it has something interesting. I really do love that, like, the media is breaking into your realm notion at the end. I thought that was a cool trick. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially because even though it's meta, it's not trying to do the thing to you. You were watching it happen to another person, and it's very rare.
You still have an arm's length thing, but it still felt like a little more dangerous than the.
It's very rare that you have that like separation where you're watching someone watching something happen, and then
I kind of love that nested reality meta thing they incorporated. Like, it's a low budget trick, but it's just like, oh, this is great. Like, there's a person on a couch and I'm on my couch. Like, it's sort of this like weird dimensional portal or something. It's fun.
And then the way it ends after the credits too is there's like the flashes of him looking at you the same way that he looked at her. So like,
exactly.
no, it's fun. It's very, very fun actually.
It's a fun bit of business. Yeah. And then
I agree.
Yeah, that's it. That's All Hallows Eve 1, and it created this kind of branch of art business. So we will see more of him in the future.
And the weird alien, probably. I'm sure we're gonna see that alien at some point.
Oh yeah,
we should.
Like if these get popular enough, Something in the Dark 2 is gonna happen too, and like it shouldn't, but wow, that's gonna be a hilarious con on everybody. It's like, from the creator of Terrifier comes this new experience in horror, and it's just Something in the Dark. It's like, oh, this is really great. If Ruthless Pictures can pull off a trick like that, that would be something. And then it's as bad and as like, it's PG? What? And you're just like, oh yeah, this is a meta joke. This is a joke on you. I mean, there is sort of that, like, I saw the TV glow, like using TV of that era as like a window into like that, you know, like there's something lo-fi scary about weird kids shows from 30 years ago. So
sure.
Maybe they could do something, but honestly, no. Something in the Dark is just a gag. It's not worth worrying about.
How do you feel about Art the Clown is getting popular and has gotten popular enough to the point where there definitely could, if this was a 90s, there would be like a kids animated version that was like PG of this character.
Oh man. That's the thing. I feel this is in that respect, I would be like, no, this is a hard R movie.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it you know, there is that thing though of like when you're a little kid, like the scariest movies are like that much more like, oh, I'm curious about that. Like this might be, I think that's already happened. Like there were stories about like Wild Robot was grossing strangely high in its like 5th week or something, and that's when Terrifier 3 came out. Like people were buying kids movie tickets and sneaking in, is the story. Like that's the legend, right? That's what allegedly happened. So kids who are way too young have seen some of this business, and I hope they don't become serial killers in the future, but I can't control that. That's not, you know, I'm not the moral police.
Man, what was your so there are definitely kids that are probably, let's say 10 or something to 13, where they're at that point where they're kind of exploring new things or like trying to be a little more adult maybe and sneaking in, like you said. What was your All Hallows Eve? The thing that you watched way too early that is like, I should not have watched this, and it probably broke something in my brain.
I was such a lightweight. Like, it's not, I don't have any awesome story. Like, it would be like, I was like 6 and saw the part where the T-Rex runs out, and I thought that was mind-bendingly terrifying in Jurassic Park 1.
To be honest.
I know, but
did you see
like,
it in theaters?
No, my parents had like rented it or whatever. Okay, but I caught like the, you know, the ripples in the water thing, and then it runs out, and I was just like, my little brain can't deal with what's happened, and I must now leave. Like it was too much. But I was like that. I was way too invested in what was happening on the screen. If I had seen the wrong thing, I would have become a murderer. Like it would have destroyed me. So.
You know what's funny is that when I was growing up, I had a friend who was like really into horror, like just the type of person that becomes a psychopath later on. I don't know what's happened to him these days, but back in like we kind of watched horror things together, and we watched like Friday the 13th movies, Halloween, Friday and Nightmare on Elm Street, like all the big stuff, right? When you're kids and before you had like the internet, it would be the stuff that you would Google, like what are the biggest horror movies or whatever. Yeah. So we watched all that stuff. None of that really bothered me. There was like a weird like dissonance when you're watching them where it's like those are movies, those are dumb or whatever, like they're monster movies. So it's weird because this is so tame compared to like kids that would sneak in to see this. But the thing that broke me was the movie Scream. And the reason is that even to this day, I can't really watch that opening scene with Drew Barrymore without getting like a little nostalgic creepiness in the back of my brain, because it's so viscerally gross and like shocking.
Yeah. Well, it kind of invades her safe space or whatever too, right?
So like, I've always been a homebody, And like this is why The Strangers is hard for me, because I'm a homebody.
Yeah, you really
so
hate
stuff
home
at home,
invasion as a trope, right? Yeah,
I hate it. It terrifies me to the core. And Scream was the first time that it was like, this is a horror movie where these kids are like 2 years older than me. Like, this is something that probably could happen. They're just psychotic kids, and they like disembowel. Like the part where she's like just an arm's reach almost away in her yard from her parents opening the door, and she's just like trying to scream out to them that like she's dying, and then like they're panicking. They look outside, and she's disemboweled, hanging from the tree from her own like intestines. It's like, it's so fucked up. Nothing else in that movie is nearly as fucked up, but that ruined me as a kid. That made it hard to sleep for a few nights, and it was and then I'm thinking,
oh man,
All Hallows Eve would actually have destroyed me.
because of my like Christian upbringing and stuff. The end of Raiders was way too much for me when everybody melted. You know,
that's really bad too.
I was just like, I can't believe what just happened. Like, that is like Old Testament wrath happened on film for me, and now I have to think about that. Like, that did really bother me, actually. Like, I was having a great time with that whole movie, and then the last like 5 minutes was just like, what just happened? Like, I can't believe that. So yeah, that
this would have destroyed us both.
Oh yeah, if I had accidentally seen Terrifier, Art the Clown stuff when I was at a certain formative age, it would have been way too much. It would have been terrible. I would then have a phobia of clowns, like, for sure. That would have happened.
Yeah, true, actually.
Yeah, like this still feels like edgy business to me. Like, despite all the things I've seen over the years, this still has a little extra spice in it for sure. So I think it's earned its reputation as being really out there. It's kind of weird to me how like there is merch demand and stuff like that. Like, it is kind of weird, but I kind of get it, I guess. I'm glad I at least eventually gave it a look and didn't write it off as like, okay, this is getting to like, misogynists apparently have won the day, and Ben Shapiro's audience are watching movies now or something. Like, you know, just getting mad at people and assuming a bunch of stuff about them. Yeah. Like, oh, here they come. Here's the mega guy's favorite movie. You know? Yeah.
But exactly. No.
Well, maybe
it has nothing.
Maybe.
It's nothing in that regard, at least. It's just weirdly visceral when it comes to certain kills that I'm not used to.
And reasonably well executed, low budget filmmaking. Like, you know, some of the same reasons you'd like a John Carpenter or something, I feel is present here as well. But yeah, we'll see when they really get wild with it. Like, this movie's 80 minutes, the next movie's like 80 minutes. Then we get into like 2+ hour sagas of Art the Clown, and I don't know if I have like that level of enthusiasm. I'll see. That's going to be the real test of how's
your mental fortitude for horrible atrocities being shown.
That's the thing. I've heard some of those minutes are really spent like dragging out kills. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, this is like a 20-minute bit right here, and it's like, are you serious? That's crazy, and
kind of stupid.
Yeah, but that's your spectacle. Like, that's your big moments in your little horror movie. So it's gonna be weird. We'll see if we survive.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where we'll end this episode on All Hallows Eve, because next time we talk, we'll be talking about Terrifier. Came out
full theatrical
was that 2013?
I think it was 16.
Was it 16?
Yeah.
Time doesn't mean anything to me anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, time kind of melted and compressed weird after a while.
You're right, it's 2016.
Yeah,
You're right.
It took 3 years to put together the solo outing with a new actor. We'll talk about him when he makes his debut. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, all right. So join us next time.